Oh boy, do we have a video for you today. Trump was out with a flurry of comments, actually saying that there's going to be some huge announcement coming this week. Initially, markets rallied on this. We thought, okay, that's got to be China, right? Then he kind of bats it down, says it may have nothing to do with trade, says that we don't need China. Meanwhile, ports are drying up, and port managers are saying, this is like nothing we've seen since 2020. The time is ticking before economic disaster. I'm optimistic that Trump is not off his rocker, but you never know. So I think it's very important that you hear everything that Trump is saying. It's almost like you kind of got to psychoanalyze Trump here, or try, because what else can you really do? Like, you're facing hyperinflation and a depression. Okay, that's the bad side. The good side, if we get a pause on China tariffs, let's say, is a booming economy, a market you would not want to miss out on. It's very difficult to know how to be positioned in this market with those two outcomes. Now, Paul Tudor Jones, legendary investor, says that even if Trump drops tariffs to 50%, 50, you're still going to hit new lows on markets. Yeah. So people are very bearish. That instinctively makes me a little bit more bullish, but hey, we'll talk about all of that throughout this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Now, also keep in mind, we do have some Tesla stock news that I will share with you. At the time of recording this video, Tesla is down about 2.2% today, partially due to delivery numbers out of European countries. This doesn't matter at all. The numbers that, Tesla delivers on any given month or even quarter in specific countries in Europe, is so minimal, it just doesn't matter. China, the US are the areas that matter. Europe collectively is like 2.5, 3 times smaller than the US and China every quarter. It almost doesn't matter, but it is having a reaction to Tesla's stock today. So I will share the news with you. So let's get into what Trump had to say today. We also had a speech from Scott Bessent. Okay, so Donald Trump says that China's economy is suffering from a lack of US trade. He says that Chinese ships are turning back in the Pacific Ocean. He says that China wants to negotiate and we will meet at the right time. Donald Trump says by not trading with China, we're losing nothing. This is the first head scratcher where you kind of try to get in the head of Trump and say, is he off his rocker here? Okay, we're losing nothing. It could almost give you a headache reading it. The fact of the matter is, without China just abruptly ending trading with China, you will have hyperinflation because there will be a deficit. Trump should understand this, a deficit of the amount of goods that are in stores. When you have less goods, equal demand, what happens to pricing? It goes up, okay? It will skyrocket. So when you try to psychoanalyze Trump here, that doesn't sound good. Trump says that China wants to meet with the US. Trump says that China is doing no business right now, which, look at this. Trump's trade tariffs slump widens to nearly all US ports, supply chain data shows. It says an export slide that began in early 2025 has reached most ports across the US and nearly all export market products as the trade impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs worsen, with agriculture the hardest hit. As businesses cancel orders from China, US imports continue to plummet, with a 43% week-over-week drop in containers through April 28th. Quote, "We haven't seen anything like this since the disruptions of summer 2020, said Kyle Henderson, CEO of trade tracker Vizion. Dude, this is a ticking time bomb, okay? Literally a ticking time bomb for the economy. The Port of LA, just on a week-over-week basis, traffic is down 17.3%. That's where is getting most of the products from China, okay? Pretty much all of the products from China. That is bad. In the following weeks, you're going to see that get even worse. Even if, let's say 2 weeks from now, Trump decides to pause the tariffs on China and companies start immediately ordering from China again. Sorry. Shelves are going to run dry for a period. That's a problem. You know, and let me just say this. Like, I think Trump has good intentions. I think, you know, as convoluted as they are, the process, he has good intentions. He's trying to do what's right for America. All of that. The way he's doing it, I can't tell if he is ignorant, just really doesn't know the damage he's causing or could cause in the coming weeks, or if he just like has way too much pride in America. He doesn't understand, like, there's certain things that like we can't get around, right? You can't just cut off China and expect things to be fine abruptly overnight. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Now, right after these comments about China, Trump says there's a really positive announcement Thursday, Friday, or Monday before we leave for the trip for the Middle East. He says the announcement to be as big as it gets. But then he says the announcement over the next few weeks is not necessarily on trade. So after that, you know, we had a few minutes there where people were like, okay, this could be a China deal. This could be a pause on China tariffs. And then Trump said this, and all hope basically went away. But remember, art of the deal, create chaos and uncertainty and unpredictability, and that's kind of what happened today. Trump says U.S. deficit with China is turning due to tariffs. And then Donald Trump says we don't have to sign trade deals at all. And then Trump says on trade deals, we're not chaotic, we're flexible. Trump also had a meeting with Canada's Prime Minister that was live streamed today. Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, said Canada will never become the 51st state. Trump responded and said, I say never say never. Trump says that India has agreed to drop tariffs to nothing. Donald Trump then says, in some cases, we'll sign some trade deals. Trump says, we'll put down some numbers. The country is open for business. Trump says they are going to pay for the privilege to shop in the United States of America. Trump says, think of the U.S. as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. Trump says that nations, again, don't have to sign the deals, that will basically just put the tariffs numbers on them regardless. Trump says this to stop asking how many deals we're signing. And Trump on trade deals says we're not looking to hurt countries. And he says we won't do much business from Canada. Trump does reaffirm that USMCA is a good deal for everybody, but there was a lot of talks today about potentially renegotiating this USMCA trade deal. Like Canada's Prime Minister Carney, that says some things about USMCA will have to change. Trump says that investments are hitting economic data right now. Trump says that no, Carney couldn't say anything to change the tariffs. Trump, referring to Canada, says this is a very friendly conversation. He says that we protect Canada militarily, and we always will. Donald Trump also says today that the Houthis don't want to fight. We will stop bombing the Houthis effective immediately. Trump said on Canada, we don't need their cars, we don't need their energy, we don't need their lumber, we don't need anything they have other than their friendship, which hopefully we will always maintain. Trump says, why is America subsidizing Canada by $200 billion a year in addition to giving them free military protection and many other things? But again, we're not like subsidizing them $200 billion. That's the, again, trade deficit. Scott Bessent had a lengthy interview today, and he said that we are looking at changes in material for the nickel coin, but he believes the dime is profitable. And in some bad news for EV names, Tesla, really car companies in general, the U.S. House likely to kill the EV tax credit, Speaker Johnson says. Bessent says it's hard to know when the market would rebel against U.S. debt, which is, I would argue, has already started. Bessent says we are trying to control absolute level of debt and grow GDP. Agrees with Yellen that debt to GDP ratio is what matters. Bessent says U.S. debt trajectory is unsustainable. And Bessent says he would not be in favor of the Fed issuing a digital currency. Bessent says the U.S. government will never default. We will raise the debt ceiling. And per Fortune, only 9% of CEOs expected a revenue decrease at the start of the year compared to where we are now at 44%. A U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent says strategic uncertainty is part of negotiations over tariffs. Now, again, think to what Trump said. There's going to be this huge announcement that's bigger than anything else. Like, it's not the Ukraine-Russia war ending. Like, it's not a deal with Canada and Mexico. Like, nobody cares about that at this point. The only thing that is like at the top of king of the hill is a trade deal with China. Like, that is what it has to be about. It has to be about a pause on China tariffs, right? Anything else would be seen as a massive disappointment. And then Scott Bessent says strategic uncertainty is part of negotiations over tariffs. I mean, come on now. Like, they're almost screaming, we're going to pause tariffs on China, but it's going to be chaotic as hell until we announce that. That's what I'm getting out of today. Treasury Secretary Bessent says that he expects Q1 GDP data to be revised upwards. He says that nothing in the data indicates that the U.S. is in a recession. And he says perhaps as early as this week, we will be announcing trade deals with some of the U.S. biggest trade partners. But again, unfortunately, like, all of that's priced in. None of it matters besides China in terms of what's going to move markets higher. Bessent said he can see substantial reductions in tariffs on U.S. goods. Bessent says that they are currently negotiating with 17 of 18 key trade partners, but have not engaged with China as of yet. Again, you got to pause the tariffs on China, I think, even before you reach out to China. This one's funny, okay? This one's going to make you laugh. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent says Trump's economic agenda is already bearing fruit. Okay there, buddy. Where? I don't see it. The balance of trade came in today for March at negative $140.5 billion. The estimate was $137 billion. So this is going to negatively impact GDP once again. Exports came pretty much in line with expectations, a little bit lower actually. We were expecting $280.5 billion. It came in at $278.5 billion, so about $2 billion shy of estimates. Imports came in at $419 billion versus the estimated $417.6 billion. So that's going to, again, kind of add to the negative pressure on the Q1 GDP report because that data was for March. The RCM TIPP Economic Optimism Index came in at 47.9. The estimate was 50.2. So again, people don't feel very optimistic whatsoever. 10-year Treasury auction actually came in pretty good. And we do have some earnings today and after hours that will be important. Supermicro, AMD, Rivian, Tempest, Energy Transfer, Arista, Astra Labs, Upstart, Wynn, and Lucid. And then tomorrow morning, Uber, Walt Disney, Teva, Novo Nordisk, some others, Wednesday and after hours, AppLovin, Carvana, ARM, Axon, DoorDash, Dutch Bros. Thursday, Peloton, Shopify, ConocoPhillips, Kronos, Warner Bros, Crocs. Thursday and after hours, The Trade Desk, Coinbase, Mercado Libre, Cloudflare, DraftKings, Affirm, Wolfspeed. And then Friday, not really anything in particular that's, I don't even know any of these companies, to be honest, besides TerraWolf. That one could be interesting. The CNN Fear and Greed Index today coming in at 57. Market momentum, extreme fear, stock price strength, extreme fear, So that actually got a little bit better. Stock price strength, extreme greed, put and call options, extreme fear, market volatility is neutral, safe haven demand in extreme greed, and junk bond demand in extreme greed as well. Again, people are just very bearishly positioned. CNN's fear and greed index really doesn't represent that. You can see put and call options, extreme fear. Like, you know, Wall Street is not bullish this market. Okay, retail is. Wall Street is not. Percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average at 47.69%. So you're back to kind of a normal range, not elevated by any means, but kind of in a normal range. Once you get above like 65%, then you start to get into kind of bull market like territory. And it will be fascinating to see what the AI investor sentiment survey looks like. Okay, it asks members one question: how do you feel the stock market will be in the next 6 months? And you're sitting at some of the most bearish levels you've seen throughout all of this trade war, crisis. Like, it's bad, okay? 59.3% of investors are bearish. The high on April 2nd was 61.9%. So you're like right up there at the high. Even though markets have recovered quite a bit, bearish investors really just continue to climb and stay elevated. Neutral investors at 19.8%, bullish investors at 20.9%. We will get new numbers on this coming Thursday. Now, let's get into some of your news today for Tesla. Tesla Energy is now advertising on YouTube. I guess you would say the big headline today that's causing Tesla to really underperform is this one. Tesla stock slips amid European sales drops. Cybertruck inventory is building. It says Tesla's new car sales in April plunged 62% year over year in the UK, while sales in Germany dropped 45.9%. So that number is actually getting a little bit better in Germany. Overall, electric vehicle registrations in Britain rose 6.9% in April. See, it says the company sold 536 new cars in the UK in April, down from 1,400 during the same month in 2024. Like, these numbers are tiny, okay? I'm surprised Wall Street cares at all, okay? In Germany, Tesla sold 885 cars last month. The company sold 5,820 vehicles, marking a 60.4% year-over-year decline, while EV registrations in Germany surged 53.5% in April. Like, I mean, the numbers are so tiny, it doesn't matter, okay? Now, according to Electric, Tesla currently has about 10,000 units of its Cybertruck in inventory. At the start of 2025, Electric reported the company had approximately 2,400 units in stock. So they're suggesting that the Cybertruck is running out of selling power, which honestly I think is just BS, but we'll see. I mean, if Tesla starts to cut prices on Cybertrucks, then you have an argument here. But until that happens, like, who cares? Now, Morgan Stanley says that Tesla's robotaxis addressable market is at $1 trillion per year just in the US alone. And Tesla's full self-driving software was spotted driving in Amsterdam, so people are speculating a launch could be coming soon. And Tesla's Hollywood Diner is now close to completion. And look at that, Tesla's FSD V13 stops for ducks crossing the road. That's about as good as it gets. Now, in hedge fund and institutional option activity today, you have 51 different trades totaling $45 million with a positive order value of 43%. So almost neutral, but with a slight negative bias. But these numbers are really tiny to begin with. So not a lot really going on. Yesterday, you had 224 different trades totaling $362.48 million with a positive order value of 82%. Yesterday was actually very good, even though yet Tesla sold off a lot yesterday. Now, short sellers today are shorting about 57,000 shares of Tesla on net. You have borrowed shares of 560,000, return shares 504,000. So that's where you get that net number. Again, a relatively slow day for Tesla standards there. You have 2.89% short interest of free float, $22.7 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling about 81 million shares. Also in the news, Ford pulls their guidance as they expect a $1.5 billion hit from tariffs this year. I'm sure that is not helping Tesla by any means. And more comments and articles are hitting news wires about, like, let me just read this. Tesla stock, European sales plummet to 2-year low while robotaxi launch approaches. This is from the ACI Information Group. But again, it sounds like a lot of the headlines that sent Tesla stock lower in the first place, that caused a lot of fear, when really we were only talking about like hundreds of vehicles, a few thousand vehicle difference in deliveries. That's the same story here. I think it's really a non-event. I think the bigger issue is we don't have a pause on China tariffs, and every day that doesn't come, we have more issues for the economy. Hopefully, that's the news Trump was alluding to. Coming soon. This week is a pause on China tariffs. I mean, come on now. Any day now would be great. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see. So let me know what you guys think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think Trump is indeed off his rocker? Do you think he knows what he's doing and it's just, you know, chaos for a purpose? Economic pain for a cause? Like, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day nonetheless, and I will see you in the next one.